What if the reason you're exhausted isn't because you care too little, but because you care too much? What if your kindness isn't your strength anymore, but your slowest form of self-destruction? You don't cut your skin. You cut your boundaries, and you call it love. If you're drawn to deep psychological truths like this, subscribe now. This channel is for people who want to understand the mind, especially their own. When empathy turns into identity loss, caring becomes self-harm when your identity fuses with someone else's emotions. At first, it feels noble. You're attentive. You notice subtle shifts in tone. You sense discomfort before others do. But slowly, something shifts. You stop asking, "What do I feel?" You start asking, "What do they need?" This is emotional over-identification. Your nervous system begins reacting to their moods as if they're life or death signals. If they're upset, you're anxious. If they're distant, you're panicking. If they're disappointed, you feel guilty. Over time, your internal world disappears. Psychologically, this is a collapse of self-boundaries. Your sense of worth becomes dependent on how regulated others feel around you. You don't exist independently anymore. You exist relationally, and that erosion is slow, invisible, but deeply damaging. The addiction to being needed. There's another layer. For many people, caring too much isn't just empathy, it's attachment trauma. If you grew up feeling unseen, you may have learned that love is earned through usefulness. So you become indispensable. The fixer. The emotional container. The one who never breaks down. Being needed gives you purpose. But here's the psychological trap. Your brain starts rewarding every time you sacrifice sleep to help someone. Every time you ignore your limits. Every time you silence your resentment. You get validation. That validation becomes addictive. So you overextend again, and again, and again. This is why caring too much feels impossible to stop. It's not just behavior, it's identity reinforcement. When kindness turns against you, the final shift happens quietly. Resentment builds. You start feeling unseen, unappreciated, drained. But instead of pulling back, you double down. Why? Because slowing down feels like abandonment. Setting boundaries feels like cruelty. Saying no feels like betrayal. So you betray yourself instead. Chronic self-abandonment creates anxiety, emotional burnout, and even depression. Your body stays in a state of hypervigilance, scanning for others' needs, while ignoring your own. And eventually, your kindness becomes indistinguishable from self-harm. Not dramatic, not visible, but deeply corrosive. If this resonates, subscribe. We explore the psychology behind patterns that look normal, but slowly destroy you from the inside. Here's something to think about. If you stopped overcaring tomorrow, who would you be without being needed? And would the people around you still stay if you finally chose yourself? Tell me in the comments.